Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined today by Gianni the Greek and Sports Cheetah. We're going to talk about one of my favorite games. On Saturday, Northwestern catching 14, their first ever Big Ten championship game, off an Ohio State team who I had last week catching 4.5 at home. And that was the easiest game I've had for 6 weeks. I didn't have to sweat it. It was great. First half cover, second half cover. The Buckeyes got it done, and I can see why people are rushing to bet the Buckeyes here. That is a very prolific offense when it gets going, and sometimes that defense just doesn't matter. They faced the number 1 defense in Michigan and had no issues, but Northwestern has a decent defense themselves. Preston, I've had a really great read on this Wildcats team all year. So you can probably guess where I'm looking towards here. They play up to their level of competition, but they've also played down, hence why they lost to Akron. That being said, I'll let you start, and you tell me who you like in this one.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of interesting stuff going on here. From the get-go, 14, there's even some 14.5s out there now. The number's too high. My number's 10.5. So right away, I'm looking at a discrepancy there and backing the dog. It actually looks like 2 weeks ago, Ohio State was laying this number against Maryland. They should have probably lost multiple times, and even in overtime, the guy was open. They went for 2, Maryland did. Missed them. Ohio State escapes, but all year it's been the same. In Nebraska, they were laying a similar 14-17 number. Purdue's similar. These are games, like, the market number right now is telling me that they are going off of the one game we watched against Michigan last week and lining this game and not the other 11 of mediocrity that we watched. And a defense that's been horrible against the run. No Bosa, right, because he's just getting healthy, ready for the NFL draft. I think that's the reaction, is that they just stopped Michigan. But it's weird because, I mean, think about it this way. They ended up getting to like +6 at home against Michigan. So why is it because of one result and one sample now that they're just way better, or they're as good as we expected before the season? Again, they have the talent, sure, but the number's too high. Northwestern, for one, Pat Fitzgerald as a double-digit dog or a dog period, just a god. Like, they just find ways to do it. I think even like the last 2 seasons, double-digit underdogs, they're 7-0 against the spread and won 6 of them outright. I don't know if they're going to win the game outright. They have a chance, I think. But how it really stacks up, Northwestern's very stingy. I was talking to someone last night, Colin Wilson. I do a podcast with, and he called in, and he said they're top 20 in the red zone as far as defense. They're kind of a bend, don't break. And Ohio State, they rank 120th or 119th as far as their red zone offense. They're able to move the ball, but when you minimize that, their explosiveness, they're settling for a ton of field goals. They don't convert those into touchdowns, which plays right in Northwestern's hands. Penalties. The best team in the country this year, only 34 penalties all season long. Northwestern, first in the country. Ohio State's given, I think they are 98 penalties, 125th, which is almost dead last, right? 5 teams from last. So a lot of those extra variables and intangibles definitely go Northwestern's way. So I think that all kind of lines up for a play on a number that I think is too extreme anyways.
All right, VR, your turn. I know you made your number a little bit higher, off as well.
Yeah, I thought it should be higher. Here, the truth is, I agree with everything Preston said, except that this is a different game than Ohio State when they were playing Maryland or Nebraska. This is the Big Ten championship. There's so much on the line, possibly for them, that I just think that the landscape's totally different. Kind of like what we saw last week. Totally different landscape for Ohio State, and that team showed up and they crushed. Usually, I would think go the exact same way. It's a knee-jerk reaction to 60 minutes of football. We shouldn't give too much credit for that. But Ohio State in these spots, I think they show up. We saw in 2014 this exact situation. What did they do? They went for style points. They shut Wisconsin out 59-0 in 2014 in that Big Ten championship. Now, Marco brought up a great point off camera. If Oklahoma wins, then you'll see style points for Ohio State. If Texas wins, Ohio State just needs to win pretty much. So it may change at least how mindset going in. But I think either way, you're trying to, if you could run up the score, you're gonna. Now, can they? Honestly, I think Northwestern, I don't even have them in my top 30. I really don't. Offensively, you're not going to be able to put up many points. And if they can't put up points, I think it's going to turn into one of those heavyweight fights where Ohio State systematically breaks them down, and a 7-point lead turns into double-digit lead, turns into a 20-point win.
I like it. I'm going to do this because I forgot to at the start of the video. Somebody don't tell Johnny. VR, been crushing the big moves. 150 in their last 150 big moves. That's 67%. You guys, right now, you get $50 off a month of big big moves at WagerTalk.com using code VR. Super easy. You won 4 of your last 5. I need to be. I don't know why I don't get texts from these guys. Like, they text me about everything else, but I don't get into these big movers. But I am gonna let you guys have one last word on this game. So VR, you think Ohio State is gonna blow them out of the water here?
Yeah, I'm taking Ohio State.
Okay. And Preston?
My only counter would be that they were in this spot when they played Maryland. They had to beat Maryland. If they have 2 losses, they're never going
to you're right. Every game's a must-win.
And they didn't show up against Maryland. They didn't show up against Nebraska. I mean, they did eventually get close wins. But, I mean, they've had to show up since that Purdue loss every week, and they didn't do it until one time last week. And I just think that's one
against
sample.
Against big-time rival Michigan.
And Michigan moved the ball anyways. They should have scored 50. They ended up getting 30-something. I don't know. I think the defense is just too poor to lay that big of a number.
All right. Wager Talk Text Club. Are you guys a member? It's 100% free. Just text Wager Talk to 33222 to get a $10 coupon for just signing up, plus free picks and other special offers.